my lovelies, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Amy and I am a cruelty-free makeup enthusiast. So I know all you can see are my hands right now, and that is because we are going to be doing a good old-fashioned eyeshadow palette declutter today. So I'm going to go through some palettes that I am decluttering just because I just have too many palettes, and although I love my collection, I know that I need to keep it realistic for me and for my needs, and if I see too many kind of duplicate shades going on, I need to pass them on to a better home. So please do not get upset if I declutter a palette that you absolutely adore, because that is wonderful that you adore them. Makeup is subjective for sure. We all have different wants and needs. And lastly, please do not ask me to send you any of these products kindly. These are all going to be donated or given to friends or family. So this is the first video in a declutter series that I'm filming. I have a second one coming up with more face and lippy products. So without further ado, let's get started. So for the first palette, might be the most shocking. Can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm going to declutter the ABH Riviera palette. So I loved this palette. I used this a ton during wedding season last year. I think the shades are gorgeous, but you know what though? I just have a lot of dupe shades in here, and now that I have the ABH Pro palettes, I have 3 of them. I have a lot of these shades in those palettes, and I have to say I actually prefer the formulation in those palettes to this one. So just so I don't have too much redundancy in my collection, I'm gonna let this go. It's very sad, but it's time to move on. Another palette I never thought I would declutter is the Too Faced Gingerbread Spice palette. This thing smells delicious. I really liked this palette during the holidays for the past 2 years, but you know what? The more that I play with it, the more I just realize I am not the biggest Too Faced eyeshadow palette formula fan. It's not my be-all end-all. I love the little tiny hot buttered rum, so that is why I'm actually decluttering this. I just feel, again, it's a warm toned palette, nothing really spectacular about it. It is pretty, it's got beautiful shades, but it's just time to move on. I have a cute little tiny one here. This is from Ulta. This is their little Bloom eyeshadow palette. Look how cute this tiny thing is. I got this was like a gift with purchase. It's just so tiny and cute, and I do like it, but I'm just not going to use it, so I'm going to pass it on to someone. And then I have the Cloven Hollow. This is their warm toned pigment palette. This is actually a beautiful palette. I have no qualms about it. It's beautiful. I just have so many warm toned shadows, so that's why I'm going to pass this on as well. Then I have the Essence. This is the Spice Up Your Life palette. Beautiful shades. Love the warm tone shades in here, but the pigmentation isn't great, so I'm going to pass this on as well. So this one hurts a lot too. This is the Physicians Formula Rose All Day Eyeshadow Bouquet, and this has beautiful shadows in it, but unfortunately they are no longer cruelty-free. They were caught selling in China earlier this year, so I have to say goodbye to this one. This actually was one of my first videos, the review that I did on this, that I got to, I think, 1,000 views. It's also my most disliked video. People did not like that I said that this had a lot of kick up. All right, another drugstore palette. This is the Milani Pure Passion palette. This is a beautiful warm-toned palette, but I just don't ever use it. I bought it with the intention of doing a full face of Milani, and then I just never filmed it, and then I realized I just have too many warm-toned shadows, especially ones that are neutrals, so that's moving on as well. This palette I actually never even played with. I got this in a BoxyCharm. This is the Beauty Creations Cali Chic palette. It's really cute, but again, it's warm tone neutrals. It's nothing really spectacular or interesting to my collection, so I think I'm just going to put this in a giveaway. And then we have my Nabla. This is the Poison Garden palette. This palette, unfortunately, just did not perform like my other Nabla palettes do. This blue is just awful. Like, it's so chalky, and do you see that? It just doesn't blend very well. There's like no pigment. I don't know what it is, because I love this Berry Bite shade that's right here, and I wanted to like it too because of the honey shade, but honestly it just doesn't blend very well, and so I was just holding on to it just because it's Nabla and I like their formula, but this palette just does not perform well. My next one is this Ofra Soul palette. This is one of their pro palettes, and I really wanted to like this. Again, it has warm tone neutral shades, like these eyeshadow shades here. They were okay. I wasn't really impressed by the formula. The blushes were okay. I mean, of course, the highlighters are the stars here. The highlighters are beautiful. But other than that, and the banana kind of setting powder is fine, but the shadows or these brow shades I wasn't too crazy about, and I wasn't crazy about the blushes, so I figured I would just pass this on. This was a really expensive palette, so I'm sad to see it go. I gave it a couple tries, but it just doesn't bring me joy, so I'm gonna let it go. Here's another palette that I got from BoxyCharm. This is the Zoeva Aristo palette. I think the concept of this palette is really cool. I love the Art Deco decoration in here. I love how slim it is. But you know, the color story isn't very exciting to me. I love that there's an equal matte to shimmer ratio, but I just wasn't really blown away, so I'm gonna let that go as well. I know, I'm letting go of an Aether Beauty palette. And it's one that I put in my monthly rotation too. But you know what? Because this is an all shimmer palette, this is their Crystal Grid Gemstone palette. So I'm just going to let this go because it's all shimmers. It is very pretty, but I just keep finding myself not reaching for it enough. So out of all my Aether Beauty palettes, this is the one that I'm okay with letting go. And that's what I'm going to do. Next, I have the Urban Decay Naked Heat. This is a beautiful palette. I've loved this palette. It was one of my favorite palettes when this first came out. But again, you're going to get similar looks to it. It's another warm-toned shadow palette of mine. I don't think you have much variety in these shades. They're beautiful, but I think it's time that we just break up. I love the 80s kind of silly packaging, but it's time that we moved on. Oh, now it's time for ColourPop. Okay. Baby Got Peach. We're going to let you go. And, you know, a reason why, too, is because this Hungry Ghost shade that's in here, I actually have this in my Truly Madly Deeply palette. So we're going to let you go. And I already have some other peachy shades in the Truly Madly Deeply. I have another kind of peachy toned palette from, I think it's CoverGirl. So I think I'm just going to let this one go. I don't wear it as much as I thought I would. Especially when I haven't worn as much as I thought I would, is the Honey palette. I love the concept of this. I do love yellow shades, but I have yellows in other palettes that I use more and like more. So I think I'm just gonna let it go. I know. I can't believe I'm doing this either. This one too. This is my Just My Luck palette. I love green. It's my favorite color. I just have so many other palettes with green in them that I use more or I want to use more. So I really want to focus on using my Gemini palette this year. And this one's beautiful. It really has a great variety of greens, but it's just not the most unique green color story in my collection. So I'm going to let this one go as well. Now for the last ColourPop palette, this is the Through My Eyes palette with I Love Sarahi. This is a beautiful summertime palette. I love the shades in here. They don't offer this one anymore, I don't think, unfortunately. I've used it many times, mostly in the summertime, but now it's just getting kind of older. I haven't touched it in, I think, almost a year. I think I wore it to a friend's wedding last summer. So it is just time to let it go and give it to a new owner. And then there's the Pure X Barbie palette. This is so pretty. I love the packaging on this. It's just classic chic Barbie. That's what I thought about when I saw this palette. And the shades are quite stunning. They're super soft, and I feel really bad because I've gotten several Pure palettes and then I always end up decluttering them because they're just not my favorite formula. They're not bad. I appreciate that they're vegan shadows. But there's, again, nothing very unique about the color story in here, and it's just something that I haven't touched in quite some time, so I think I'm going to let this go. I'm kind of sad to let it go because I love the concept of it, but I'm just not really using it, so I'd rather give it to someone who will enjoy it. This is the Phoenix Rising palette from Pretty Vulgar. I got this at TJ Maxx earlier this year for quite a cheap price, and I think I know why. I'm not crazy about the pigmentation with Pretty Vulgar. I don't know if they're just older shadows because I got them at TJ's, but they're not performing like I would want them to. It's a very pretty color story. Again, warm tones, but I just don't tend to reach for it, so I'm gonna let this one go. And in addition to that, I have the Pretty Vulgar Early Bird. If you've seen my other videos, you know that I was not impressed by this palette. The pigmentation was severely lacking. I thought it would be like a really light, cool-toned, pretty palette to kind of, you know, turn to when I just wanted subtle looks, but the pigmentation is just not there. They just disappear. They're chalky and there's nothing there, so it just kind of blends away to nothing. So I'm gonna let that go as well. In the final stretch here, so this is a tiny little Ilia palette. This is their Cool Nude, and I know that they've changed the packaging on this already. This is an adorable little cool tone palette. I reviewed this last fall, and I really liked it. Unfortunately, I'm just not turning to it. I just have other cooler toned mauve-y palettes that I turn to. So whoever gets this, I hope they really enjoy it. And then I have the Too Faced Life's a Festival palette. This was gifted to me by a friend. I had done makeup for a movie that she had made, or I guess that we made, because I was part of making that movie. But she told me I was a magical unicorn and gave me this, so I have really good memories of it, and that's kind of why I was holding on to it. But now it's just a couple of years old. I have other palettes with colors in them that I tend to be reaching for, so I'm sadly going to let this go. I think it's time. But this was an adorable palette. I know people hated on this, but I actually really liked it. Last but not least, we're getting rid of Conspiracy. So I'm kind of turning away from buying, I think I'm definitely turning away from buying Jeffree Star Cosmetics in the future going forward kind of thing. I really didn't have the heart to declutter my other Jeffree Star palettes because I just really like the quality of them. The formulation is so good. These shadows are so easy to work with. But this one I was able to let go of because it's kind of a disjointed palette. I think everyone kind of fell into the hype of this. I'm usually able to kind of separate the brand and the people who own the brand, that kind of thing. I always say just keep it about the makeup, but with a lot of stuff that's recently been coming out, I just don't feel very comfortable supporting the brand as much, so I'm probably not going to be showing this brand on my channel anymore. I still have other palettes that I really love. I just don't have the heart to get rid of them because they're expensive, and I like them very much, but this one I could get rid of. I could start with this one at least, and maybe in a couple months I'll feel differently and let the other ones go. But that was the last palette. Thank you so much for watching. This was the first episode in this declutter series. We're going to do a second episode with face products and lip products next, so keep an eye out for that. If you enjoyed this content, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And always remember to stay compassionate and chic. Have a great day, guys. Bye.